babies. How y'all doing? This is AstroDim here, speaking to you guys in my bed. Because, the show is called My Bed and Astrology. Yay! All right, so I'm sorry that I'm late. I usually do these videos a couple of days earlier. If you saw my chart, you would understand that schedules and me don't work too well. Please forgive me though. I'm a work in progress. Okay, I'm trying to figure this whole thing out. Okay. But I do got an interesting topic today. We're gonna talk about the midheaven. Okay. We're gonna talk about the midheaven, the 10th house, what it means for you. But the thing is, I'm gonna talk about it generally, but I want to get deep into it. I don't want to not deep into it, but I want to kind of go on a different level with it. Okay, instead of talking about how it applies to career and all that stuff that everyone always talks about, I want to talk about how it relates to you in scandal. Yeah, you heard me. Scandal. Yes, it actually does relate to you with that. And I'll definitely explain that a little bit more. Okay? So, make sure you get your snacks. Bring it to your room. I don't know if you're the type of person to bring snacks to your room and eat snacks on your bed. If you have Virgo energy, you probably are not that person. But get comfortable. However, whatever comfortable means to you, however you do get comfortable, relax, and enjoy this cool ass episode that I'm about to give y'all. Okay. So just a quick, little schedule. This is the intro, right? And then first, the second part of this segment, of this episode, the second segment, I'm going to talk about what midheaven, what midheaven is, what does it mean in astrology, generally, the stuff that everyone talks about, but it's going to be quite general. But then the next segment, which is the third one, I'm going to go through each sign, and explain how this kind of relates to scandal in your life. Okay. And then the last segment, I'm probably going to talk, I'm going to do the last words there, and kind of go off from that. Okay. And, I hope you guys will enjoy it. It's fun. I mean, it sounds fun to me. Shit. So it gets, I feel like it's going to get juicy. And I feel like when it comes to the 10th house in midheaven, people kind of talk about career, which is important. And I'll probably do a part 2 where I really talk about what people always talk about with midheaven. But I wanted to spice it up a little bit, okay? So get ready, y'all. It's about to get real. Hey, guys. So here I am, available for you guys to talk about the midheaven, okay? So the midheaven starts off the 10th house. So it is the actual 10th house cusp. Okay. And then, depending on which chart type you use, Placidus, equal house system, equal sign, whatever, you get to, or whole sign, whatever, you know what I mean? You get to see how big your 10th house is. And, but the thing is, the midheaven is always the beginning of the 10th house cusp. So it's a specific point, right? I believe it's the highest point, of the sky of when you were born, something like that, right? While the IC is the lowest. The IC is your 4th house cusp. Okay. The 4th house and the 10th house are opposite. So while the 4th house represents home family, privacy. The 10th house / midheaven represents how people recognize you, how the public knows you, what are you known for. So it's not so private. It's not only just what you show to the world, like the ascendant, but what the world knows you as. So because of that, like when you think about when astrology was made, right, you would know someone based off of what they did as a career. So it'll be John the Butcher, or actually think about it, John the Baptist, right? Bill the tax payer, or payer, everyone's a taxpayer. Bill the tax collector, Jim the merchant. It's you had specific, whatever your career was, that's how people knew you. That's how you were recognized to the world, to the community and stuff. So, it's a very, very important part of your chart, because it can kind of tell you basically what you'll be or what you'll do career-wise in your chart. It's a great indicator, you know what I mean? I always feel like not only do you look at the other money houses, which is the 2nd house and the 6th house, when you want to find out what you're going to do for a career, your job, but you also want to look at the house rulers of the 2nd, 6th, and 10th to really get a full picture of what you can do career-wise. Another thing to do too is look at those planets of basically what naturally represents the 2nd, 6th, and 10th house, which the 2nd house is Venus, the 6th house is Mercury ruled naturally, and again, all this is naturally, and then the 10th house is Saturn ruled. Okay, when you kind of bring all those things together, then you kind of you get a better understanding of what career you can do. Okay, and it's all open-ended because energy is just what you make it. Okay, all right, so that's basically the general idea of what the midheaven is. The interesting part of midheaven too is that, again, not only does it represent your career, but it represents just in general how you are recognized. So you can be someone, for instance, like, see, this is the thing about astrology. You can have like what people would consider an extremely successful placement for the 10th house. Like, for instance, someone would see you have like Capricorn in the 10th, right? And Capricorn it's a long road, but you'll eventually be successful. But you can probably be just the most successful at what you do. So for instance, you're very successful, but you're the most successful missionary, which they don't get that much money, but you're still one of the more successful ones. You had to bust your ass for it and work extremely, extremely hard, but you're the best at something that could possibly be not high pay, or something that is not too favorable. Like the world sees sex workers as taboo, and me personally, I feel like people can do whatever the hell they want with their lives, because everyone has different energy, and just because you don't understand it doesn't mean you can judge it. Okay, but just going off what society thinks, people think sex workers are, this is a taboo profession. So you can be, again, Capricorn likes to strive to be the best, to be the top dog. If you have Capricorn in the 10th house, you could be the best sex worker. You know what I mean? And then like a lot of people's like, oh, what? That didn't come out right. But it did come out right because that's what you wanted to do. You know what I mean? So it could apply in any level of work, any level of your life. It's just how people recognize you. And again, like this could manifest with you as a child. What you're best known for. If you have like Pisces 10th house, you might be just known for being naturally gifted at like artistry. You know what I mean? Like it could apply in all levels of life, all ages, all levels of income. It doesn't matter. It just, again, energy manifests in different ways, and you have to make of what energy that you actually have. You know what I mean? That you actually have out there, that you have available. That's really, really important part when it comes to all of astrology, but just definitely the midheaven, okay? Now, also with the midheaven, it's one of the angle houses, so it's very, very important. It's a cardinal house, and it is, with the cardinal energy, I didn't really get a chance to talk about modalities, but I will in the future. Cardinal energy, that's the initiator, what you push to do, the things that you have to put an effort into. So again, you have to put an effort into what you're recognized. You have to put an effort into how people see you. You know what I mean? And that goes with all cardinal houses. With Aries, you put an effort into your appearance, into your first impressions, into your persona. The 4th house, you put an effort into your family, to your private life, and to keep your life private. With the 7th house, you put an effort into relating to people. Just things that you have to push forward. You have to initiate yourself, okay? And I mentioned before in the Lilith series that the 10th house, the angle houses, are very, very important because it's things that we have to initiate ourselves and push forward ourselves. And it really shows how others see us. You know what I mean? 1st house, again, first impressions. 4th house, how our family sees us, how our private life is held. 7th house, how people relate to us on a one-on-one basis. 10th house, how the world recognizes what we do. You know what I mean? So that's that as well. What else can I say about the 10th house, y'all? 10th house again is ruled by Capricorn, and naturally. So the example I gave, that's just someone may have had like an Aries rising sign, but naturally the Capricorn is the ruler of the 10th house, which means Saturn is the ruler. With Capricorn energy, and Capricorn energy represents control of oneself. You know what I mean? To have control of oneself, you need to initiate. You have to push forward what you do practically, right? To get what you want, what you do practically to move forward in life. You know what I mean? That would be a better way to say it. And then we know with Saturn represents restrictions, authority. Again, this whole theme of control, restrictions, authority, major life lessons. And it's funny because Saturn represents all different levels of control. Not having the control, which is the major life lessons and the things that the universe has to push down on us, right? Those hard lessons. And then also authority. It could be authority of someone putting their thumb down on us, or it could be us being tired of it and us being of authority. Restrictions, that's again us being pushed down, right? And those are the things you have to fight, things you have to endure, things you have to learn from to be recognized, right? So I'm just trying to get y'all to understand the energy of the 10th house. How the 10th house, it's kind of like what you see when you get things, when you're recognized publicly, what you have to go through to be recognized publicly. You know what I'm saying? You have to go through authority. You have to go through restrictions. You have to learn major life lessons. You have to initiate your career. You have to go through all these things. Excuse me, I'm getting my drink on, okay? Hold on one second. Sorry, it's bad good, yo. It's that Canada Dry Blackberry Ginger Ale. So good. But anyways, you have to, again, initiate these things to get people to recognize you in the way you want them to. Okay? But the thing is, because especially if you have some funky aspects going on, we don't always have control. And that's a big lesson of the Capricorns. Like, you know, I know, you know, Capricorn energy, and I'm a Capricorn, so I can really feel this. Capricorns don't really care about having control of others. They really just want to have control for themselves. The thing is, though, that's not how the universe works. We don't know what the best. We don't know. No one knows the best for each other. You know what I mean? Only God does. Only the universe gets it. Like, you know, like, so we are trying to control things to picture and to get the things that we think is the best for us. We don't really even know that. And so, again, that shows the wave of what control, like, you know, what control is. Yeah, we can kind of take our control, take our power back, but we don't know what's best for us. God does. Our ancestors do. Our spirit guides do. Our angels do. But most of all, again, God does. So he has to intervene. And, you know, Capricorn, in that 10th house energy in general, Saturn energy general, is hard-headed sometimes. We just got to get smacked up beside the head a little bit. And that's what makes the Saturn and Capricorn energy tough. That's why they have to, you know, people who are born Capricorn sons or Capricorn energy, they have a real tough upbringing, because we just learn those major life lessons, right? Get all that pressure just to develop a gem, just to develop a diamond. And the diamond in this stance is people recognizing you for doing something awesome. But the thing is, again, recognition is neutral. You can get good recognition and you can get bad recognition. And again, it all depends on the aspects of your chart. What planets are in the 10th house, what planets are conjuncting the midheaven, either on the 9th or the 10th. You know, it all depends on, you know, how it's exactly looking in your 10th house and in your midheaven, okay? To see how that recognition will be manifested. I can give you some general answers by looking through the signs. If you happen to be interested in a reading from me, if you just want a one question reading about, you know, how your 10th house is looking, I could do that for you. My one question readings are $15, so you can just hit me up. Typical places. I'll give you that information towards the end. But, you know, but the 10th house, you know, again, recognition is neutral. So you can get good recognition and you can get bad recognition. And it segues, you know, the bad recognition segues to what scandal is in astrology and how it can manifest through your 10th house and your midheaven through astrology, okay? So yeah, that's my little blurb about the midheaven in general. And, you know, just to say again, like, recognition is neutral. You know, this is a Capricorn and Saturn ruled house. So, you know, you kind of have to go through the bad recognition, go through the bad things to get to the good recognition and the good things sometimes, you know what I mean? But what I'm going to do next for this next segment is I'm going to go through the signs. I might break this segment up. I might do Aries through Virgo for one segment, and then Libra through Pisces in another. And then I'll work from there, okay? All right. Peace, y'all. All right, y'all. So I'm going to go ahead and talk about the signs and how it actually could manifest in each, if each of them were in the 10th house, and how it applies to scandal. So, you know what? I think what I could do is kind of go through also possible careers. I'm not gonna go deep into it like I would with the scandals, but just to give y'all a little taste, and then maybe I could do a part 2 of this and kind of get to the nitty-gritty of the midheaven. Okay, so first time per usual, Aries. All right, so if Aries is your 10th house planet, right? Or excuse me, it's in your 10th house. I can't talk right now, and I can't blame Mercury this time, so maybe because I'm tired, I don't know. But usually career wise, you're doing something physical, using the body, because Aries represents self. It represents your physical body, your appearance, right? Since your appearance, again, you're using your body, so you could be a model. It could be something as simple as being a model, or when it's not being a model. It's not simple, of course. You have to have a skill for it, but you're not doing physical labor such as maybe a football player. So I say football player because a lot of athletes have an Aries 10th house. So it has to deal with you basically using your physical body, you know what I mean? But when it comes to scandal, right? Scandal can manifest in multiple ways. Scandal can manifest if you have an Aries 10th house, as in you front like you are one person, a sweet, charming, sweet heart, right, to the people, and then people realize that you're actually an asshole and you're really fucked up and you're an evil person. Kind of like what happened to, for instance, like Hillary Clinton. How people just was for the second election, people just digged up so much dirt of her past and her husband's past. But before, people thought she was like a nice person, kind of like a strong woman for the people, and then people realized that she just like any other person in this world, really is more for herself, not as a martyr as other people would think, you know what I mean? So that can pop up. Also, another thing could pop up is something have to do with your body. It's possible to have a sex scandal because your body has to do with it. But something, again, like it has to deal with your body, and like maybe like for instance, no one knew that you had like an ailment or something, and because you wanted to keep it hush for a reason, kind of like maybe even like a Franklin Roosevelt situation, how he didn't want everyone to know that he'd had polio, so he like fronted like he was fine. So that can definitely manifest because it has to deal with your actual body. It also has to do with your appearance, so you may look one way, like your physical appearance. I mean, you may look one way in real life, but you kind of change your body up, and you kind of change your body up in pictures, maybe to make sure that you don't look how you actually look in real life. Maybe a plastic surgery scandal could also manifest in this way too. And also first impressions. So you could be a good person, but you come off shitty all the time, and you came off shitty to the wrong person and it exploded. So that's how it can manifest for someone who has Aries in the 10th house. Okay. Taurus in the 10th house. These folks, when I think of Taurus, I think of beauty, but like a practical beauty. Kind of like a classic look, right? So I can see them as fashion designers, but they'll be more of like the Calvin Klein, DKNY folks, not the Alexander Wang, not the people who kind of go experiment a little bit more. They're more of the clean, like J. Crew-ish type of look. You know what I mean? I see Taurus in the 10th house folks being entrepreneurs, helping other entrepreneurs, you know what I mean? Kind of like self-worth, building your self-worth, building your material worth. I actually see them, believe it or not, being antique collectors too, but having like the finest of the finest, you know what I mean? The finest antiques. Again, with the self-worth thing, I can see them doing self-help books, motivational speakers. I can see them doing interior design, okay? But with scandal, again, scandal has to do with self-worth, material worth. So I can actually see their scandal having to do with money. They may front like they have money. They put off this facade like they're rich, or they got it made, or they kept something secret about what they have, because Taurus people like to put up a facade like they have it all together, and they're so much better than you, and they have the expensive clothes and the nice house and the picket fence, the bomb car, but in actuality they're struggling, you know what I mean? So a scandal might pop off that way for a Taurus and a 10th house person. That's like the biggest one for them. Another one that could apply too is that they weren't self-made. You know what I mean? They actually had a ton of help, and maybe possibly the person that helped them they don't like anymore, and they kind of expose them for like helping them so much. They like to seem self-made, Taurus energy, if you have Taurus in the 10th house. So it can definitely apply that way too. And another scandal a Taurus person have is something to do with like your self-worth. So again, like I said before, like Taurus likes to put up a facade like things are going well. And a lot of times things are going well for them. So that's one thing I don't want y'all to get confused. Like Taurus just be faking on people. No, they just like the best of the best, and they like looking their best. And there's nothing wrong with that at all. Nothing wrong with that. But sometimes low vibration Taurus people like to act like they got all this shit together and all this money when they actually don't, and they're struggling. But this can manifest emotionally too. So they act like they are so content, so happy, so put together, so strong, but they're actually weak and sad and depressed, and they suffer by themselves because they feel like they have to put up this facade, and then that gets exposed. You know what I mean? Like, oh, she's not that tough girl that I thought she was. Or, oh, he's not so strong like I thought so. You know what I mean? It's kind of like that type of shit. So that's how a scandal may manifest for them. Okay? Next is Gemini. If you have Gemini in the 10th house. A lot of people with Gemini in the 10th house are in communication somehow. So it could be corporate communications. It could be media. They could be a writer. They can be a podcast person, a speaker, a freaking radio host, TV host. Any type of communication is involved. They're in any type of way. They're excellent at that. They can even be a public school teacher. You know what I mean? The reason why I said public school teacher specifically is because they love working within their community. Okay, so community work, community leader, activist, a person that really just works in their community and tries to make it better. Working in nonprofit, definitely it for them. Okay, they're very smart too. So teachers is big, but I feel like they really want to work within their community or impoverished community and do that. Okay. Now with them with the scandal, I feel like with people who have Gemini in the 10th house that they're like involved in the scandal. Like, their scandal is they talked too much. They talked too much and they ended up saying something that they shouldn't have said. I could definitely see that happening. And then that becomes the scandal. You know what I mean? Definitely see that with Gemini energy. If they're Geminis in the 10th house. I also can see them again, like a good not a good scandal, but a scandal that could apply to them too, is that like they're working for the community, they're doing nonprofit work, but they're actually stealing money, or they're like playing favoritism, or they're doing kind of like shady stuff with the community work that they're doing, or within their job, or they're doing something sneak and slide and they end up getting caught. That could definitely help with someone that has Gemini in the 10th house. But like a lot, I think with Gemini in the 10th house too, that a lot of folks could probably just kind of, their big scandal can have to do with people just gossiping about them so much that any old thing just sticks and people start believing it, and then that's their downfall, is that people just keep saying shit, and then like how Gemini energy is, they kind of like go along with it just jokingly, and then people fall for it for real, and so it's just like this bizarre ass rumor that you're like, yep, yeah, whatever, and people fell for it, and now like it's a thing that you actually have to fight now. You know what I mean? That could be y'all's big scandal too. So y'all's scandal have to deal with like communication gone wrong. You know what I mean? That's the thing, or the community work that has gone wrong. Okay. All right. Next after Gemini is Cancer. So, Cancer in the 10th house, their scandal can come through their home. Either like a homewrecker came through and they look like the bad guy in the situation. It could be them cheating on their spouse cheating on them, and it just becomes a big nasty fight. Their children could have done something fucked up. Someone in their immediate family, their home, you end up finding out that their home got foreclosed on, or their car got taken away from them, or something like that has to deal with just private matters being exposed. your like home matters being exposed, your family like exposing you, your family doing something fucked up and people finding out. Like that's the type of scandals that y'all get. Cancer in the 10th house energy, career wise, a lot of them are homemakers, stay at home moms and dads. A lot of them work from home. A lot of them do nurturing stuff where they help other people in their homes, or in a nursing home. They help people get comfortable. So doctors could work in this too. It's the nurturing factor. You know what I mean? You're being a mother, you're nurturing, you're making sure they're good, they're safe, and they're taking people are taken care of. That would be your profession, okay? But yeah, when it comes to scandal, it has to deal with like your private life being exposed, or someone from your private life embarrassing you, thus it being exposed, because your family is a connection of you and a reflection of you. You know what I mean? Okay. Next after Cancer is Leo. Now Leo can manifest this way too, of which your children embarrass you somehow. You know what I mean? That would be a scandal that you may have to worry about if Leo's in your 10th house. Your talent is like gets fucked up somehow. Either you continuously lose your voice, or you're not as if you're like a singer, or you're not as good at the specific talent that you used to have. You like have a problem performing at the very best that you did. Like you have like just a sharp decline in the talent, or you create things, right? And you're not that good at like where you used to be. And so it becomes a thing, because you were the very best. You were awesome at your height, but then it just took a sharp turn, and you're just not, you don't got that flavor anymore. You know what I mean? And Leo in the 10th house, they like really struggle, because Leo in the 10th house is an amazing placement. Leo represents things that you create and your talents. And so, this is the sun. So the thing is, a lot of people with Leo in the 10th or sun in the 10th, they usually are famous. This is a great placement for being famous for your talents, being famous for how you react to things, how you're being famous for your persona and your identity. You know what I mean? So when they have their scandal, it hits hard, because you were at this high and then you just drop down low. So like it's either your identity, like you kind of have an identity crisis maybe, and it's exposed to the public, because remember the sun's here, so it's an illuminator. It's shining bright in this section, like everyone can see you in this scandal. You know what I mean? It's being shined, it's being bright, like it's illuminated. The scandal's being illuminated. You have an identity crisis. Your child does something real fucked up, or your talents was up here and now it's just dropped all the way down. It's something just so dramatic, similar to the Leo energy. Okay, all right. After Leo is Virgo, and then when I do Virgo, I'm gonna take a little break, and then we're gonna go from Libra to Pisces. Okay, but next is Virgo. Now career wise, career wise for Leo, I forgot to mention this again. Like, this is a great placement. You can really get a lot of notoriety and fame off of this placement. But again, you're somehow a creator. And that could manifest in so many different ways. you get famous off your just natural born talents, the talents that you're naturally born with. So a lot of singers have these placements, actors, especially actors and actresses, a ton of them have that placement, Sun in the 10th or Leo in the 10th. It's just something that, you know, that will put you in the forefront, that makes you a household name. You know, so it could be anything that you are just naturally talented at. It pops up there. Because children run this house too, you can, it's a great chance if you also working with kids in some way or another, and then you get famous because everyone thinks you're awesome for working with kids, you know. It's stuff like that, you know. You're gonna with this placement, you're just gonna be well known for what you do naturally, you know what I mean? All right, so again, sorry, Virgo. Now with Virgo, their career-wise with them is like they represent organization and routine. So any job that's routine, that you do kind of like that, it's tricky because you have to do it in a frequency, do a routine, but with a person that has Virgo in the 10th house, they have to be able to make changes within that job so they can it could be the most effective and help the most people, or make the company the most strong, you know what I mean? So this can manifest within a corporate job. This can manifest into process improvements. I feel like Virgo will be amazing at that. Accounting and finance is something that's very detail oriented, but also something that is very you know, Virgos are not like really nurturing, but they are just like the helping hand. So anything that you're like the helping hand where you can make changes to make things better, and make things more practical, okay? Like administrative, this administrative work is great for this, office work, being an assistant to like a big honcho person, like anything that is very detail oriented, coding, just kind of where you can have your own reign to make things better and more practical, and where you can be detail oriented. Now, with these folks, their scandal doesn't seem like a big thing for most folks, but it can blow up bad. So like, first thing I think of when I think of a Virgo scandal is that Moonlight scandal that happened in the Emmys, where someone gave them a wrong card, or they printed out the wrong card, and they called out La La Land as winning the Best Picture when it was actually Moonlight that won Best Picture. It's something like that where it's just like a minor flub that just gets blown out of proportion, and it kind of leads to, it's like a domino effect, and it just fucks everything up, and now like something has a bad name or a bad word, you know what I mean? I definitely see it manifesting that way. Or like when Steve Harvey messed up Miss, I don't know if it was Miss America or Miss Universe or Miss, I forgot which one it was, but that situation is a Virgo in a 10th scandal. You know, something where it's a minute issue, it's a step that this person missed, but it just gets blown out of proportion, and it just fucks up. It's like a domino effect that fucks up everything. Another way this can mess up for a person that has Virgo in the 10th, a scandal within the work environment. So it could manifest, depending on the planet. Maybe if like Mars was in here or something, like a sex scandal within the work environment, or within a place where you frequent a lot, you know what I mean? That could happen. Just a scandal that happens up at a place where you frequent a lot, and you just make a misstep and it just gets blown. You know what I mean? Or that's what really brings it home for me with Virgo. Okay? Alright, so that was Aries through Virgo. And I'm going to take a break. And then we're going to do Libra through Pisces. And after that, last words, and that'll be it. Alright, so stay tuned if you haven't heard yours yet, or you're just interested in hearing the rest. Okay? Peace. Alright, babies. So we're going to go through Libra through Pisces in the 10th house to understand a little bit about career, but a lot of it about scandal. All right, and seeing how scandal can manifest in your life. Okay, so let's get started. Now, Libra. Librans in the 10th house, they'll probably work in a situation where they get to work one-on-one with someone. So it's kind of like a situation in which consulting is involved. Since Libra does represent, or not represent, but Libra energy represents like Venus, I can see definitely beauty consultants. I could definitely see someone that is kind of like a person that I can't think of the name. But a person that like picks out clothes for other people, a personal shopper or something like that, like where it's consulting involved but beauty involved too. A hairdresser. I said a hairdresser. A hairstylist. I'm old school. Don't make fun of me. Hairstyles would be great. Where it's just like a one-on-one situation when you're helping beautify someone's life. Kind of similar to Taurus's Venusian vibes. Maybe someone that does interior design could possibly be it too. But it could be anything that has a consultant vibe. So it could be a lawyer, doctors, since doctors are like one-on-one. That's more like primary care. You know what I mean? Doctors more than anything, because they work more one-on-one with their patients. Any situation where you're relating to someone one-on-one, but it's not like a deep like you're not relating to them on the deep shit. It's just like a more face value type of situation. Customer service, retail, but like it doesn't have to be like a customer service representative, but it could be even higher within that too. It's any situation where you're working on, or you are actually working on someone one-on-one. I see these people, again, Venusian vibes, being entrepreneurs too, because not as much as Taurus, but they can be entrepreneurs too, but they're more of like a small business, for, with entrepreneurship, where they can meet with the person, with their clients themselves, one-on-one, and see them and work with them directly. You get what I'm saying? I guess that's why I'm hearing like, just not hearing, but I'm feeling like consultant, lawyer, where they just relating to people easily on a one-on-one basis. Okay, so that's that. With scandal, so they can kind of deal with a scandal at work, again, like in a one-on-one basis, where they either have sex with their client, or did some dirty work with their client. They could get also similar to the Aries vibe. They're working one-on-one with someone, and then that person talks behind their back or kind of exposes them for what they've done. You know what I mean? A lot of these people get sued too. Libras in the 10th house, and that could turn into a scandal. Libra in Seventh house energy in general kind of represents relationships. So if Libra's in the 10th house, it could be a cheating scandal. So that could happen too. Okay. Any scandal that has to deal with you relating to another person one-on-one. Cheating's really big, or kind of doing dirty work behind someone's back is not behind someone's back, but kind of doing dirty work with a partner in crime, kind of Bonnie and Clyde type of shit. You know what I mean? You're doing some dirty work with somebody and you end up getting caught. You know what I mean? And since actually Libra does represent kind of like relating to people on a one-on-one basis, you know, you're like, people think they're getting to know you, and then all of a sudden when they really get to know you, which is more like Scorpio and 8th house vibes, they find out that you're a terror and they end up snitching and telling people, and that can happen to Libras too. All right. Next is Scorpio. So Scorpio in the 10th house, I actually have this placement. Scorpio in the 10th house, you know, these people can work as occultists, so they could be tarot card readers, astrologers. They could work as like in the funeral business, like funeral directors, or, you know, undertakers, that type of work. They can also work in accounting and more like finance, but like it's more of a like personal finances and personal accounting. So you're helping like a financial analyst, kind of like where you're helping somebody specifically, like people's personal accounts, and you're working with them directly, like an advisor, financial advisor. There you go. Yeah, doing that type of work when you're looking at other people's money. So the thing is with Scorpio energy is kind of like intimately connecting with people. And so intimately connecting with people through their money, through their spirit, through their emotions, like a therapist or a psychiatrist, or even a doctor that's a specialist. That could be definitely Scorpio vibes. Again, I have this placement and I do astrology and I get paid for it. So there's that. But you know, this can manifest in different ways too, where you can intimately connect with people in different ways. You can intimately connect with people through music and, like, you know, kind of singing through the soul. You can intimately connect with people through art. You can intimately connect with people through storytelling. So there's many different ways you can intimately connect with others, okay? So it's more like private matters, you know what I mean? Manifesting, and then you kind of like have a bond with the person, you know what I mean? So like if you, for instance, if you use music, for example, you know, a lot of music, like big musicians, since like some similar ones would be like Michael Jackson, where people actually didn't know him but just has this bond with him, and they feel like they know him and they love him. Like he has a Pisces ascendant or a Virgo ascendant, I forgot, I think it's a Pisces ascendant. But like, you know, if he had an Aquarius ascendant like me, I wouldn't be surprised, because of which he almost did, and he might have if he has like weird shaped houses, but I wouldn't be surprised because he just has this strong energy where he can bond with people intimately and touch their hearts. You know what I mean? So again, any way where you can bond with people intimately and really touch their soul, okay? I talked too long about that. Let's talk about the scandal, because Scorpio, oof, the scandal could be real. They can have a sex scandal. Literally, Scorpio represents sex. where you find out they're a sex addict, or found out they're cheating. They could definitely have a sex scandal. They could have a situation in which they were caught having sex and it's made public. It's not a big thing now, but it still can be in a situation where they're doing taboo work or taboo things, and it's exposed, and then they get ridiculed for it. So like back in the day, if someone were to be a tarot card reader in a Catholic town, or a Christian or a Muslim town, that could be the scandal. You know what I mean? If they was working with someone, and it's a little bit different with Libra energy, because they're usually working with someone and they're intimately bonding with these people. So it wouldn't be like a quick little sex scandal like Libras, or maybe even Virgos, where it's just more mechanical than anything. And Libra is more like, this person's cool, I want to have sex with them. They're having like an actual full-blown relationship, so that could happen. But they can basically bond. It don't have to be sexual, but they can bond with other people so deeply that they get caught up in a whirlwind and end up doing fucked up stuff. You know what I mean? So the things can manifest similarly, but the energy is different. You know what I mean? Like maybe like a Virgo or a Libra would be like a one-off or maybe two-off situation, where if a Scorpio's in the 10th house and they get involved with somebody and they have a sex scandal, it's not just like a strong sexual passion that doesn't have emotions attached to it like Aries. It's something that's emotionally invested in. You know what I mean? So the energy is totally different. Actions similar. But yeah, that's definitely Scorpio scandal. There's something that you do taboo sexually, or just sex in general gets brought out to the light. Something that you do taboo in general but brought out to light. Another thing too, like big plans of you transforming something, changing something, gets put out too early. That's why I put musicians can have this placement strong, because like they'll create an album and it gets exposed too early, and now everyone heard the whole album. That happens a lot to people with Scorpio in the 10th house. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's Scorpio. Next is Sagittarius. Now, if you have Sagittarius in the 10th house, you're probably a teacher of some sorts, a philosopher, someone who's really into traveling and exploring things that are different from them, and learning it in and out, and then teaching it to the world. So that's why I say like teacher. Now it's similar to like a Gemini teacher. They're not like going to their community, learn about their community and about themselves and relating to themselves. They're learning about things that are totally different from them, and they're going in the depths of places where people in their circle, people in their community wouldn't even go to, just to be that brave one to go there and come back and tell all the stories. They're like Marco Polo, like the merchant that, went to the far, far away land, according to Europeans. You know what I mean? They're like Mansa Akubar, which is Mansa Musa's homeboy. Not homeboy, excuse me. Mansa Musa's... I feel like I'm saying Mansa Musa wrong. I think I am, but it's Mansa. But it was not Mansa Musa's homeboy, but the person that was before Mansa Musa, that actually ruled the empire in Africa. I believe it was I forgot which empire it was. But they went to America way before anyone else did. Not anyone else maybe, but way before the Europeans did. That's for sure. They were, have the furthest recording of going to America. So there is those people, the people that will just go out and explore something that's totally different from theirs, so they can end up learning and being a sponge and taking up all the information and culture and energy, and then then after that going out and letting other people know. And this can be manifested in different ways too. They don't have to travel. It could be something totally different. It can manifest in many different ways, but that's basically the general energy. Okay. Now a Sagittarius scandal would be maybe like the information that they gave was either misconstrued, or it was an experience that they didn't experience, or it was something that they, like, it's basically they're fronting like they did something when they didn't. You know what I mean? They fronting like they knew something when they didn't, and they ended up doing something else, and they kind of just go with this lie. They get caught up in the lie. Kind of similar to Gemini. You know what I mean? Like they kind of exaggerated something, and it ended up not being the complete truth. And Gemini's their opposite sign, so they would have something similar. So for instance, if we use this whole merchant or traveler theme, you went, traveled to Argentina, got all this information about Argentina, go back to Chad, right? And tell all these people that you got all this information about Argentina, but you made up a lot of it. You know what I mean? Or you assumed a lot of information, or you actually read a book about Argentina and kind of got some of the information in there, including with your experience, and mix it all up. So it kind of something like that, okay? Where you kind of just, kind of like not faking the funk. It's because you're not like fully lying. You're just like dressing it up, making it a little pretty. You know what I mean? That's how I feel like y'all's scandal would be. Another scandal for Sagittarius too is they tend to have sex scandals just because they're a fire sign, and that rules kind of like passion and stuff, but they're mutable, so they jump from one passion to another passion to another passion to another passion. And so in generally their scandal can be that they can't stick to one thing, and it can be relationships too. You know what I mean? But it can be with anything. You can't stick to one thing, and you're just jumping all over the place, and you look kind of crazy and confused, and you don't know what you're doing. That could end up being a scandal in general for Sag energy, okay? All right. Next is Capricorn. All right. Now, Capricorn in the 10th, that's its natural ruler, But Capricorn in the 10th, these folks usually are like doing like kind of like corporate jobs, and they end up climbing really, really high, like working from the bottom, working themselves all the way up, being successful. But basically with their jobs, with people with Capricorn in the 10th, what they're doing is instilling authority and responsibility and order into what they do, right? And making sure that recognition is given, rightfully so, and that could be any type of job, but that's very similar to kind of like the old school corporate setting. You know what I mean? Definitely. So with their scandal, again, fudging the numbers, fucking something up, like lying about the power and status, finding out that you were like doing some underlying sneaky shit for your career to be recognized for something, like just lying and saying that you're, about something just to get recognition, just to get the props. You know what I mean? And it's not like recognition and props like Leo, where people are just grabbing you, a crowd's grabbing you and pushing you and cheering you on. But it's more of a like, okay, I get the recognition so I can get this particular status. You know what I mean? But it's not like, they don't care about the popularity. They just want the status. You know what I mean? They want, it's different. It's popularity and status are two different things. So yeah, they kind of have more of like an old-fashioned like work scandal usually, if you have Capricorn in the 10th house. Okay, now Aquarius in the 10th house, these folks can be astrologers, but mostly work in technology, any type of networking. It could be even like computer networking, social networking, that type of stuff, like where you're just networking and bringing folks together. They can also be like rebels again, because being a rebel, being a revolutionary, you're bringing people together for one cause. So that's very much Aquarius energy. They're bringing people together to fight one cause. So they can be, not really social workers, but work for the community as well. But not more for the community, but for like a huge cause that can affect the whole country or whole world. You know what I mean? Like that type of stuff, where they just bringing people together and creating a network to make a huge change. Okay, i.e. the internet, i.e. civil rights movement, like things like that, where you're bringing people together to make a big change. It can manifest in many different ways. Okay, with that, their big scandal is, could be, finding out that you have some unsavory people in your network. Finding out that you kind of added people in your network in a fucked up way. Like for instance, like, a lot of like churches that go out to impoverished countries and villages will say like, yeah, I'll give you this food, I'll give you all this, but you have to believe in this God and do this religion, and then I'll give it to you. They won't just give them the food, give them the things they need. They have to do something to get it. You know what I mean? It's kind of like stuff like that, where you're doing good, but you're kind of not, because you're forcing people and dangling like things in front of their faces just for them to get it. So it's like big manipulation, mass manipulation. That's the scandal for Aquarius. Mass manipulation. Bam. Right there. This could also manifest too with your friends or your network, whistleblowing, doing shady shit, exposing you. That could be it. And then kind of even go back with Capricorn. Capricorn could be exposed by the people at their job, for sure. People in their career, people who kind of help build them up, they can definitely be exposed with that. Okay, that's for Capricorn in the 10th house. But back to Aquarius, definitely their friends or their non-immediate family, like cousins, uncles, aunts, for sure. Now, last but not least is Pisces in the 10th house. Now, Pisces in the 10th house, folks, are going to be spiritualist or artist in any type of way. That's what it is. Not a religious person, but a spiritualist. And artists, it could be singers, songwriter, actor, or painter, sculptor, whatever type of artist, and just any type of situation or career that kind of promotes escapism and exploring the unknown. Okay. Now, their scandal, drug scandal. That's number one right there. Drug scandal. That would be their big scandal. Another scandal that could happen to a Pisces too is people finding out about their spirituality and thinking that it's weird and making fun of it and maybe calling them like Illuminati or something like that. That could definitely happen to most water signs in the 10th house, but definitely Pisces for sure. Definitely. Another scandal too, someone saying their natural born artistry is lacks integrity and they're not being real with their true talent, or they don't have any talent. People are trying to say that about them. It's not that they don't have it, but people try to say that about them. That could be a scandal with them too. Them always trying to play martyr. People might be like, oh, see, they're always trying. People just cannot like that attitude. Like, stop trying to play martyr. Just do you. That could be a scandal too, because people are starting to, especially with social media, seeing people's personalities and like creating scandal with that and not liking that. But kind of escapism and drugs is the big scandal for Pisces in the 10th house. Okay. All right. So those were all the houses. I'm going to take a break here, come back with the last words. And yeah, I'll see you soon. All right. All right, here's some last words for that ass. All right, so again, the 10th house is about recognition, how the world sees you. And a lot of people see this as just career, because that's where you get your glory, your recognition, your fame, because your family life is private. And a lot of the houses are very kind of to yourself and private. And even though the 10th house is too, because you have to initiate to get the actual recognition, it's where it's the most exposed. That's why the 10th house is at the highest point of the circle, the highest point of the chart. Is where you are seen the most. And so the thing is, as we know, recognition is like press. There's good press and bad press. So like I mentioned before, recognition is neutral. You can be seen by the world by doing all your dirt and your fucked up shit. You can be seen by the world by doing good and positive things. You can be seen by the world just doing neutral, everyday stuff. For some reason, people are interested. So it's just, recognition is just a word. It's not necessarily good or bad. It's just you at your most exposed. Okay? So that's why it's very important to see the midheaven, the 10th house, more than just career, but it's just your overall recognition, your overall, not even popularity, but just what you're known for. Okay? So you kind of have to see how recognition of what you're known for, how that's important in all aspects of your life, not just career. So that's why I wanted to not just talk about career, like everyone talks about that with the midheaven. I want to talk about how it could affect you in different ways. So that's why I mentioned the scandal. Okay? I really hope you guys like this. I wanted to bring a little spin to the midheaven. I really, really hope you liked it, though. If you're interested in a reading, if you're interested specifically in your midheaven, you can do a one-question reading for me, okay? There's multiple ways you can hit me up, okay? I'm on Instant Go as AstroDim, so you can look me up there. And I can look at the chart if you give me the right info. Remember, I don't read for people who don't have their birth time. I'm sorry. I want to give you the most accurate information, and I'll be okay with just not reading you, just so I can give you a good, clear reading. I'm not trying to cancel anyone out, and I might think of ways to help people who don't have their time. But your birth time is very important, and I want to give you the most accurate reading possible, okay? But I'm on Instant Go. It's an app where you can just kind of give your services for a fee. And so you can check me out on Instant Go as AstroDim. You can hit me up at the AstroDim, THE_ASTRODIM. On Instagram. I said Instagram. You can hit me up on my email, seventhhighentertainment@gmail.com. So that's 7, the number, THIGHENT@gmail.com. You can also hit me up on my Twitter, ImmitDimmy, IMMIDDIMMI. Where else can you hit me up? I think that's it. Oh, you can check out my YouTube too, AstroDim7. Okay. Hit me up, follow, subscribe, do all that shit, all up in those places. Support me. I'm giving you free quality content, teaching y'all motherfuckers about astrology the real way. Okay. So come and support the kid. All right. And hey, if you want to read and holler at me, I can hook a nigga up. Okay? All right. I love you guys. I always have fun doing this, and I always love hearing your responses. So, hit me up, holler at me, and I'll see you next week, babies. Peace.
The podcast you just heard was recorded with Anchor. If you want to make your own, download the Android or iOS app completely free from anchor.fm/podcast. That's anchor.fm/podcast.